Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's show. Coming up, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party isn't returning for 2021, but we're still getting a Boo Bash in its place. The Muppets are finally getting some extra love, which is always nice. And will EPCOT Forever be returning before Harmonious makes its debut? That's just a small taste of everything we're going to be talking about on this week's show. So let's get ready to make the magic happen on the Diz Unplugged. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged. I am your host today, Craig Williams. I had to step in for Pete here at the last second. He had to back out of the show, and we couldn't just go a week without a show. So we threw everything together, and I think we're still going to have something that is mildly interesting, probably a little bit entertaining, and maybe even slightly informative. I hope it's at least a little bit of all of that. We're just going to see how this plays out. But of course, I'm not alone. I'm joined by some truly, truly excellent people today. And, now's as good a time as any to actually say who's going to be on the show. So let's take a look at our panel this week. We have, of course, Rhino.
Hello.
Hello. Then we have Corey Fiescanaro.
Hey, everybody.
And then joining us, it's a real treat today. She's only been on the show once before, back in pre-pandemic times in the studio. So joining us for the first time virtually and second time on this show, Dreams Unlimited travel agent Jennifer Lord.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, thank you for being here, Jennifer. So we're gonna
Absolutely.
talk to you in just a second and get a recap on your life and why people should book travel through you. But before we can actually get to that, of course, I do have to remind you that this is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, the experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation, Universal as well. You know, all the great destinations that Dreams Unlimited Travel covers. And most importantly, if you like us and you like our content and you want to support us, please consider booking your next vacation through Dreams Unlimited Travel. And it costs you no extra money, but you get that awesome level of service and support from your agents. So get a free no obligation quote today at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Also, please make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you are subscribed to the channel. You're hitting that thumbs up for me right now, please. I know you want to, so just go ahead and do it. Hit that like button, and then also make sure if you're here in the live chat that you're having a good time, keeping everything positive. If you have any questions, comments, of course, leave it in the chat. Or if you're watching this later, you can always just drop it in the comments section. And then if you're listening to this on audio afterwards, hey, make sure that you are subscribed wherever you listen to audio podcasts. And if you're listening through Apple Podcasts, please make sure you're leaving us 5-star ratings and reviews. And it will make me very happy. And one last plug for other channels that we do have. Please, 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 if you're looking for the Universal Edition podcast that Rhino and I do together, it's no longer on this channel, the Diz Unplugged. It's now on youtube.com/UOFan. That's where all our Universal content's going to be moving forward. So please make sure you head over there and subscribe so you don't forget about that show. I know it's just mostly nonsense and a little bit of actual helpful information here and there, but that's just what you should expect from Rhino and I. It's more of that.
That's Universal, baby.
Yeah, that is Universal, baby. So let's, I think that's going to wrap it up with everything we need to talk about right at the top of the show. We're going to get to the news in just a second, but since Jennifer is probably a new face to very much of the audience out there, so much of the audience, most of the audience, I want to get a second to have Jennifer introduce herself so we all know what her deal is about. That sounded weird. Jennifer, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my deal is I'm an agent with Dreams Unlimited. I have been for, I think I'm going on 6 years. So definitely 5. I think this last year has been a blur, right? So I think it's going on 6 years. Been a travel agent for over 10 though. And I grew up in Central Florida. So obviously, Disney and Universal. Very, very well. Love them dearly. Disney Cruise Line. I book all three of those. And but now I live in upstate New York in Rochester. So we get down to the parks as much as we can now, now that we're allowed out of the state. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, excellent. And how can someone book a vacation through you?
You could reach out to me through our site, and it's Jennifer L at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com is my email, and or right through the Dreams Unlimited travel site.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Jennifer. It's going to be a fun show, and I did not know who would read the news today, and so I said, "Hey, I should ask Rhino to read the news." And with that, I think Rhino is going to kick us off with the news, and I don't think there's any better place to start than with the Boo Bash.
Yes, the Boo Bash. So we are officially halfway to Halloween, and Disney has celebrated the occasion and have finally said that we do, in fact, have a Halloween celebration to look forward to. And it's so funny because Craig and I literally had a conversation with some people who watched the show the day before they made this announcement, and this is what we talked about: whether or not they were going to have a Halloween party. So it's going to look a little different this year, of course, as many things has. So Disney has announced that a brand new special event, Disney After Hours Boo Bash, will be taking place this fall at Magic Kingdom in place of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Disney After Hours Boo Bash is a Halloween-themed 3-hour event that will begin when the park closes to day guests, running from 9 p.m. to midnight. Attendees of the Boo Bash can look forward to spooky party music, decorations, and special character cavalcades, and access to more than 20 attractions with minimal wait times. Similar to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, guests are encouraged to dress up in costume for the occasion, and they can fill up on Halloween candy, exclusive culinary offerings, spooktacular entertainment, favorite attractions, and more. Disney After Hours Boo Bash will run on select nights from August 10th through October 31st. Pricing info is not available at this time just yet, but tickets will go on sale next month, apparently, with an early purchase window available to guests of select Walt Disney World resorts. Interesting. I'm just curious because I want to throw this out here before I forget, because somebody brought this up with me the other day too, like yesterday or something, and they were saying that, do you think that Mickey's Not So Scary is not returning because of the 50th anniversary, and therefore that Magic Kingdom will not be decorated in Halloween decorations because October 1st is the official 50th anniversary? Do we speculate? I can't imagine a fall without those pumpkins, to be honest with you.
They said, I thought in the press release, that there would be decorations or decor at the very least. So I think we are still going to have like that fall aesthetic throughout the Magic Kingdom. I think it's still just the bigger question of overall with the decision to do Disney After Hours Boo Bash versus Not So Scary. It really comes down to, again, to parades and fireworks. And, they're doing the cavalcades, but as of right now, no plans with fireworks with it. And I do think in terms of the 50th anniversary, I think it's actually a good call. There's a lot of people coming for the 50th anniversary who, if they want to soak in every little bit of that, not necessarily mixing their Halloween with their anniversary. But this thing starts in August, so it's also like you can't make these decisions solely based on the 50th anniversary as well too. But I think it's a nice balance. I mean, it really is just a light version of the Halloween party at a probably
for the same price,
ghastly
I'm sure.
cost. Yeah, 1,000%. But it's definitely a step forward because, as you mentioned, we were literally talking to new friends that we met and saying, yeah, if they don't make an announcement within like a week or two, I would not count on it happening. And then it was a day or two later.
So funny.
Yeah, I think it's just great news all around that we're getting something Halloween, even if it's not so scary. But I will miss Not So Scary.
Yeah, I've only done 2 Mickey's Not So Scary parties, and it was the previous 2. And I don't know about if maybe it's just me, but noticed a difference in crowds just in those 2 years, where just the last previous one felt a lot busier than it felt like almost like it was as busy as a normal park day. So I'm excited for this modified version because I feel like, especially now, we're gonna see an after hours event that's more like the reduced crowds after hours event. You know, that I've gotten used to with doing Moonlight Magics, and even the villains after hours party. Those were very mild in crowds. So I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't do it like that. I feel like that's what we're in for, though.
Yeah. I I I love Disney After Hours as an event. So I wasn't, I liked the villains one as well too that they did, but that also
No,
then
you didn't.
no, the last one that I went to with Kylie, I
Okay.
enjoyed it a lot more. I feel like they finally got their footing with it, but it's also then I like this setup kind of with the Boo Bash is that if you just have random cavalcades making your way through, it's not the problem that happened with Villains After Hours, where you have a stage show that you have to then park for to get one of the best spots so you can see everything nicely. So I feel like this is probably a better compromise. You have some time for trick or treating. You'll be able to see cavalcades randomly happen. It doesn't seem like it's bad on paper. It seems like a lot of good decisions were made. But Jennifer, what's your take
Yeah,
on it?
that's all. Yeah, I mean, that's all I really see missing right now is the fireworks. So we were just in the park last week. Like I said, we've been quarantined in New York up here, so we were just there, and I liked the cavalcades. There's my children do not like sitting out in the sun or waiting for a parade to happen. So having the cavalcade now with the Halloween party, I think it doesn't create that stress of, okay, we're going to sit here and wait for the show. We're going to wait for the parade. You can take more advantage of going to the attractions, doing the trick or treating, taking in all the, fun treats and everything. So yeah, I liked it too. I thought this is probably a little bit more, of a laid back experience than it has been in the past couple of years. And I agree too, like the Villains After Hours we just did last year, there was nobody there. So I'm hoping, like Fiasco was saying, I'm hoping that it is more of a reduced crowd than the last couple of years have been.
Yeah, that would be nice. Reduced crowds are always special. And of course, this is just about Halloween time period. We don't have any information yet in terms of what is going to happen with the Christmas party, if it's going to be Disney After Hours Holiday Magic. If they take that now, I'm going to be very mad, but we don't have that information yet. We don't even have ticket pricing for this event yet, so there's still a lot of questions, but I think it's definitely something to look forward to, and Rhino is clearly already in the Halloween spirit. Yes, you were on point with it, but it's just that was just one part of all of the Halloween excitement that was announced during the Halfway to Halloween event. Does anyone else have anything else to say about Boo Bash before I really have to leave a longer pause in there? Do we have anything else to say about Boo Bash before we move on to the next Halloween news? Nope. Okay. Rhino, why don't you take us away on to the next story?
Okay. In the continued celebration of Halfway to Halloween, Disney has announced that Uncle Deadly from the Muppets is joining viewers on a self-guided tour of the most satisfying, the most mystifying attractions at Disney theme parks worldwide for the first time, for a first ever interactive experience. Each attraction destination unlocks secrets behind the magic and story and gives you the chance to learn about some spine-tingling illusions. You can complete the journey for a first look at the all-new Muppets Haunted Mansion special premiering this fall on Disney+. For this self-guided YouTube tour, you'll journey along learning about Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World Resort and Disneyland Resort, Mystic Manor at Hong Kong Disneyland Resort, Hong Kong Disney Resort, and Phantom Manor at Disneyland Paris. And then I feel like, I know Craig was very excited. I don't know that a big enough deal was made about the Muppets Haunted Mansion special that is debuting this fall exclusively on Disney+. And this brand new special will feature a star-studded Muppets cast, celebrity cameos, all new music, and spooky fun for families to enjoy together. Muppets Haunted Mansion takes place on Halloween night when Gonzo is challenged to spend one very daring night at the most grim-grinning place on Earth, the Haunted Mansion. This sounds... sorry, I didn't mean to push the two together, but...
No, that's what I was hoping for.
Exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, as you know, I am a Muppet of a man as a person, and so I love both of these announcements. I am definitely more excited about Muppets Haunted Mansion than I am Uncle Deadly taking us through self-guided tours of the attractions. I think it's a very interesting concept, and you know, it's the first time Disney is doing this interactive element with YouTube, and so yeah, it's a leap forward. I love to see how they adapt to this technology moving forward, because I don't always agree with some of the decisions Disney Parks makes when they release stuff to YouTube. I'm not always a fan of it, but this one sounds interesting.
It's,
And
it. Did you do it? Did you watch it? Because I watched it.
no,
It's basically, so they're really short little videos, but they're basically, they end, and it's the when you can put the end screen, the clickable video in it. That's what happens. So it's essentially a choose your own adventure. Which way do you want to go? And each one of the other videos will play like a different route for you to go. So it's not necessarily like innovative in terms of it being like in YouTube interesting, using anything new, but it is a really kind of interesting way to keep people like 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 still in the video, like still their attention still going, and being able to like clickable, and I'm like, that's I honestly, it's so simple, but it's something where I'm like, I don't think I've seen this utilized somewhere else before. I'm sure somebody has, and they might have, but I was just like, we could do something like that.
a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, like imagine if we were in the Magic Kingdom and we were like, which land do you want to see us go in next? And so it interacted, and you got to pick which way we went. But the problem is, I just sweat so much in the parks that you will literally know what order we're doing in, because I'll start with a dry shirt, and then there'll be a little bit of the under happy face right here, and then my tummy will be soaked in the next one, and then the back and everything. And you'll be like, wow, how does Rhinos keep changing how dry he is in each one of these videos?
I did do a choose your own adventure. This was years ago. JL and I went to a Star Wars media event, and we did 3 interviews, and I was like, I don't understand how I'm supposed to release these individually as like being very interesting. So I made it a choose your own interview path back when YouTube had like, you could click on different portions right in the middle of a video.
In the video?
And, yeah. So it would bounce around at different timestamps. And I mean, you could technically do that with chapters now too, but I don't, we just went off on a tangent on this. It means nothing. Muppets Haunted Mansion. Come on. A special with Muppets in Haunted Mansion on Disney Plus. Like,
this is the first Muppet special in a long time, though, isn't it? I mean, I know, not counting the Muppet show that they did on ABC, but before that, it was like, was it Muppets Wizard of Oz? Was that the last one?
yeah, I mean, technically that was a full-length movie. So, but I'm not trying to poo-poo on you here, but
there was a Christmas one too, I think, though, too.
Yeah, there was a couple, but you and I are just dominating this conversation.
Sorry.
Jennifer Fiasco, do you have anything to throw in?
Yeah, I'm a huge Muppets fan too. So this, I'm very excited about a special, because that's what they used to do, and I think maybe a little bit how the old format Muppets came back to Disney Plus. So now they're kind of, I feel like, harnessing back to, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas way back when, like that's what I think of as the specials that used to come out. So I feel like they're kind of maybe going back to some of that, and that will be fun, because Muppets are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
I like what they're doing with showcasing all the different haunted mansions. I think that's really cool, and I think I'd like to see something expanded on that, because so many Disney goers know just basically like their home park, like people who always go to Walt Disney World, people that always go to Disneyland. I think that's most people, really. They just know like their version of Disney. But to find out, there's all these Disney parks all over the world that offer different things. I think that's a really good way what they're doing to showcase that. I'd like to see something like that with like Pirates. I think they could really expand on that and get people really hyped for some foreign parks. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's go ahead, Rhino. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Say what you're going to say, and then I'll say what I'm going to say.
You say what you're going to say.
Mine is really gonna throw us off here because I was like, I just want Jennifer to know that my ringtone and text tone for Craig are two different sounds from the Emmett Otter jug band, and I was gonna play them because I love them so much. It's the sweet Jesus.
It's one of my proudest
See, you should have
accomplishments.
said what you were gonna say.
No, it's very well. I was going to take us away from this conversation, so
Jesus.
so it would have been very awkward for me to drive us away from this conversation and then come back around with it with a sweet Jesus there. But it's all good. We're having fun today. Why not? Let's be flexible here with everything. But I'm more Muppets all the time. If they can interact with Disney parks, even better. And I think that's the big takeaway. More Muppets. More Muppets. But our next news story that we're going to move in is definitely there's a big question mark with this one. It kind of made its rounds on social media, at least this morning. So a little bit on the breaking side. And I think it warranted a discussion at the very least. So Rhino, why don't you lead us into this?
I believe you are referring to EPCOT Forever, yes, which has been apparently been testing overnight at EPCOT this week. And guests staying at EPCOT Resorts last night could hear the soundtrack of that show playing in World Showcase, but there were no fireworks or anything to be seen. But that would lead one to believe that they're doing some sort of testing. However, I don't know how they're going to do this show with those massive barges in the water. I would assume some of it's going to have to be modified or something or other. But yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time. Disney can only put off nighttime shows for so much longer using whatever as an excuse, you know?
Yeah,
I don't really have more information on this.
Nope.
I'm sorry. That's the bulk of that story.
No, that is. It's still very new. I mean, I know I saw I think WDW Magic had made a post about it, and I first saw it from Scott Gustin on Twitter. He shared someone's video of the faint sound of music in the background coming from Epcot with the fireworks show. So it's all speculation right now. Will it return to Epcot before Harmonious makes its debut? Obviously, there's a lot of challenges with Epcot Forever as a full show. As Rhino said, it's a mostly pyro show. And like the ending of Epcot Forever ends very much like Illuminations did, where they were shooting all of the fireworks towards the center of the lake. And I highly doubt that Disney is ever going to want to shoot any pyro towards all the Harmonious barges. That just appears to me to be like a bad decision. But obviously, Epcot Forever also had the kites and other things happening in the water that might not be safe. So there's a lot of aspects of it that would make you think, no, I don't see why they would launch this show. But we see it every time we talk about fireworks. Every time we mention anything about nighttime productions, people want to see fireworks or nighttime shows very badly right now. I think that's even more of a request than the parade, since at least we have the cavalcades to kind of help ease that pain. But people want fireworks. I just personally think that this would be the worst fireworks show to bring back if they were going to bring any. I mean, I know you have to start somewhere, but it's not like Epcot Forever was really, really loved by a lot of people. I don't know if it would be like the exciting return to nighttime entertainment. I think more people would probably hope for a Happily Ever After or Fantasmic, or just wait for Harmonious. But I'm one of the few people I think out there that actually did enjoy Epcot Forever. For the most part. So I would like it in some capacity, but same time too, I don't know. What's everyone else think?
If I was like a Disney executive, first off, Happily Ever After is my favorite nighttime show ever. So if I had to vote as myself, I'd vote for that to come back first. But if I was a Disney executive and we were sitting around a boardroom talking about what nighttime show could we test the waters in bringing back, and be able to have the most distance between people and also the most people be able to comfortably watch the show, I feel like we'd come to the conclusion that the best place to start would probably be Epcot. I do agree, though, fans wouldn't be losing their mind over Epcot Forever coming back. Although I feel like they'd still be happy that something was coming back. But then back to what Rhino said and what Craig said, they're going to have a really hard time doing anything like that with the barges. So maybe one thing that they may be considering with this testing that we're hearing people have noticed with the song, maybe like a modified version using some of the infrastructure that they already have in place for Harmonious that is right in our face. It's so hideous in the lake, but maybe using some of that in tandem with the Epcot Forever show in a way that's kind of just a placeholder to bring back nighttime shows, but in a modified fashion. Kind of where my brain goes with it.
Yeah, didn't they do that with Rivers of Light? Didn't Rivers of Light kind of soft open with some of the stuff, but not everything? So, I mean, they could possibly be doing something like that. The other thought I had the other day was, would they play the Harmonious music at night? Because everyone's going to be like, oh, I heard the Harmonious music. I think they're going to wait until that moment to put that soundtrack out there. It's going to be such a big deal. I don't think that they'll ever even test it overnight because it'll be all over the place. Just like that was like, there's ears always listening at night. So I don't know that we're going to hear it. So they might have just been using the Epcot Forever music just to test everything.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that, but
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. As soon as they play that, I mean, you're going to have YouTube videos everywhere and Facebook videos, every single social media place, playing out that Harmonious music. Granted, it's a show that just features Disney intellectual property, so it's going to feature Disney music, we know, but I'm sure there's also going to be a theme song for it, and it's all about the arrangement as well too. So I didn't really consider that, but it makes sense.
I hate the show, so I don't care. I hope it doesn't come back. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything like that. It comes back, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't care. I'm waiting for that next one. You can watch the video when we reviewed it that first time. I think I was the one who disliked it the most. It's some cool stuff in it, but it just overall, I did not understand the choices they made in terms of the music and what attractions they chose to honor and what ones they chose to leave out. So it's not something that resonates with me because I don't remember basically anything they're doing from the show.
Yeah. I mean, I will say it was a better show than, in my opinion, than any form of Rivers of Light, or even worse, the Jungle Book show that they put on temporarily. Like that, Animal Kingdom just could not figure out what to do with nighttime. And so Epcot Forever was really underwhelming in ways, but I don't know, it was a nostalgia-driven show for the park that was about to go through a big transformation and never remain the same afterwards. So I wouldn't be upset if it came back temporarily, but I also, I'm not rope dropping it on night one and in claiming the perfect spot for it. It was fireworks and some music, but not in that way that just like transported you into a happy place with Happily Ever After and similar shows. So we'll just have to wait to see what's going to happen with Epcot Forever, if it'll ever come back, or if we're just moving on to Harmonious and we'll let that blow us all away when it makes its debut on question mark date.
Right. It better. Otherwise, we just have a hideous Loch Ness monster sitting in the middle of the lake now forever. Put a dinosaur head on it and call it something else.
I think they look
for
great.
the love of Walt.
I don't have photos of it, but I think we probably all saw the video of the ring barge doing its testing with water fountains earlier this week, and yikes.
I was like, is that what it's supposed to look like? Like,
I don't think
I'm convinced that Barry Allen is actually a real person, the Flash, and he worked out some deal with Disney to get the particle accelerator set up in the middle of Epcot, and they're just telling us it's for the show, but really it's for the Flash.
It's fun to laugh at least. I mean, we've all been through so much in the past year. At least we can all come together and laugh at something that's silly.
It's like the larger it gets, the at first it didn't bother me. That first one went out there, I was like, I don't know what everyone's problem is. And then there were two, and then I was like, oh, that's more. And then there were three, and then when I was there yesterday with you, I was like, there was one moment where I stood in a spot and I was like, my God, that is one giant metal monstrosity that is in the center of this lake now. That will always be there. And all I can think about is the scene in Spider-Man 2 where Doc Ock has the arms and he's like, drown it. And they have to pull that thing he's making into the river, into the Hudson River or whatever. And all I can imagine now is like, well, that's like in the Disney fandom, right? We could get a Doc Ock and just grab this and drag it to the bottom of the lake out there. It's fine.
Yeah, it's listen. Jeff Goldblum said it best. Life finds a way. Life will find a way, and these barges will continue to reproduce until they take over the entire lagoon. And then we will finally have a show where we can see every little piece of it from every viewing location, and it will be good. I guarantee it. I don't think that's actually going to happen. Rhino, let's move on to our next news story.
Okay, so we're going to talk about temperature checks here at the Walt Disney World. The Walt Disney World Resort is getting ready to phase out on-site temperature screenings. Screenings for cast members ended on May 8th and will end for guests on May 16th. The important move is in alignment with the guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Disney released an official statement on the matter, which I am now going to read. Since reopening, we have considered guidance from public health authorities, government agencies, and our own team of health and safety experts as we assess and update health and safety measures to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. As this guidance continues to evolve and with the support of local health and government officials, we are making some additional adjustments. Following the advice of the CDC and our local health officials, we will phase out on-site temperature screenings at Walt Disney World for cast members, like I just said, beginning May 8th, and guests on May 16th. Will continue to follow the guidance of health and safety leaders going forward, and most importantly, encourage people to get vaccinated. Yeah. They also pushed out a thing into the My Disney Experience app that was very much like, hey, listen, you're coming here, these are our rules and you're going to follow them.
I mean, someone's got to be boss, so I guess it's going to be them. It's not going to be Bruce. He's busy. He's got other things going on in his life. I'm happy that the temperature check's going away. Universal took theirs away last week, and the world is still moving. Surprisingly, I thought it was going to stop for a second, but we still kept finding a way to move on. And ultimately, there was criticisms about the temperature checks before they even implemented them about, is it just trying to make us feel safer? It's Florida. What if you just get overheated on your own, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have to go over all the reasons why people didn't want them, but it's just, I hope if anything that they will be able, like Disney also has their new deal with Advent Health, who were the nurses that came to do the temperature checks. I hope that, they'll be able to still make some extra money on the side like they were doing for temperature checks, but now with the different partnerships that Disney has with Advent Health. So that way they can keep getting paid as well. And it's as Universal puts it on their site, but Disney doesn't. It's another step closer to normalcy. And I think that's nice. I think that's what we want as people.
I was thinking about this for a bit, and so like the first thing that comes to my mind with the temperature screenings is it's not going to be 100% effective, right? Because especially with what we've been dealing with this past year, is a lot of people that might come in would be completely asymptomatic. But one of the things that I thought about is people here on vacation. How many times a day does it happen that somebody in a party is feeling under the weather, maybe a scratchy throat, maybe a fever, maybe they just don't feel 100%, but they're like, all right, you know what? We paid for this vacation. We're gonna stick it out anyways. Let's all hit the park strong and go have fun and make the best of it, even though I don't feel so good. So one less obvious thing that the temperature screens provided were, you know, that person that doesn't feel good might think twice about even trying to go because they're like, oh, I don't feel good, and I might just get turned away at the front gate anyways. And they might feel more like just not going, which I think is like the ideal thing to take away from this year is if you don't feel good, please stay home. So I hope that even with the temperature screenings going away, that people can utilize that common sense and just stay home when they don't feel good.
The one thing is it saved me money from having to buy a thermometer over the past year. Anytime I felt under the weather, I just went to Disney and had them check it. And
Very good, Craig.
probably not a joke to make. That was a bad one on my part. Yeah, it's I also I forgot what I was going to say now. Just fell right out of me. Jennifer, anything to say?
No, I mean, I'm glad. I think too, like just going back that sense of normalcy. And I do feel like Disney did put that out on My Disney Experience, but I was in the parks last week and it was right when the CDC came out and said, okay, you don't have to wear a mask anymore if you're outside and you're vaccinated. And it was like immediately Disney's like, oh, wait a minute. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You're at Disney. You still have to wear the mask because people were, wanting to follow what the CDC said. So I think they've had to really push back a little bit on some of the things that were said that way to kind of say, these are our rules. And I'm glad they're getting rid of the temperature checks too. I kind of feel like, I saw people putting water bottles on their heads before they walked up. So It was kind of an exercise of insanity, I think.
That's what I was going to say, is that I was always a little suspect anyways about some of the temperature checks, because some days, like, they would be holding the temperature check thermometer gun to my head for like 3 seconds and then saying, okay, go. And other times it was like up for not even a second and like, you're fine. And
Yeah.
was the one person not checking it properly that was taking too long, or who's the one that's not doing the right thing here? So it's always just kind of confusing. But
I don't know. I can't speak for like every temperature gun too, but from what I've read, there's like a slight margin of error between just the temperature readings in general. So like somebody with a temperature of like 100 degrees might still read at 99, and that would get waved through completely fine.
Interesting. Well, you'll have to tune in on Thursday to the next episode of Off the Rails, where we do an hour on temperature checks. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know Rhino's looking forward to it.
God, I hope that's not what we're talking about.
It's not. It's all okay. But Rhino,
Okay.
why don't we roll into our last story? Finally, we're going to get around to the Disneyland news, more exciting news for the West Coast. So take it away.
Yes. That is, like Craig just said, we've got some reopening news about Disneyland out there. Disney's Paradise Pier Hotel is going to be reopening with limited capacity starting June 15th, 2021, and reservations for that are already open. Upon its initial reopening, there will not be any dining locations open at the resort. Still, hotel guests can visit restaurants in the downtown Disney district and at Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. Napa Rose for dinner and Storytellers Cafe for breakfast and dinner will open for the Disneyland Resort hotel guests and non-hotel guests beginning on May 28th, 2021. Storytellers Cafe will not feature any character dining upon reopening. Additionally, guests will find a QR code in their hotel room on their in-room TV. When scanned, it will give them access to the downtown Disney restaurants that offer delivery of food and drinks to their hotel lobbies. And that is something, when I read that, I was like, oh, I'm very excited. That sounds really cool. I wish that had always been a thing, and maybe it was, and I just didn't know. But the special entrance to Disney California Adventure Park for Disneyland Resort hotel guests visiting the park will reopen on May 28th. And it's important to note that a valid hotel key card, park ticket, and park reservation are required. And as of this show, I believe it is still, Disneyland specifically is still only open to California residents. I know that Universal Hollywood opens to fully vaccinated out-of-state people, but Disneyland is still just in-state. But that could change. I mean, California apparently is just doing amazing with their vaccination and the rate at which everyone's getting vaccinated out there. So it seems like they're just on a course to. I hope it continues that way for them because they've had a tough time of it all.
Yeah, no, they absolutely have, and their rates are all looking really good, and it gives me a lot of high hopes that we'll be able to get to California at some point soon. Because I can't speak for Jennifer, but I know that 3 of the 4 people here are definitely massive Disneyland fans, and we want to get out there. I feel like that's the recurring theme of every week's show that we do on this is we just want to get to Disneyland at some point. And yeah, I would even, I'll say it, I'd even stay at Paradise Pier if I had to.
Oh my God.
Hands down.
It's not even that bad.
It's not that bad. I don't like the elevators that much, but that's about it.
I remember
besides that, I'm fine.
The first time I ever had gone to Disneyland, I was, I'm sure Craig already wasn't happy about it because I was brand new working here. And I remember walking in the room with him and going, wow. And Craig went, this place is a dump. It was the exact, it really is not. And he does not actually believe that either. But his reaction was because he was like, everybody else except for me and Craig were in the Disneyland hotel. So he was so angry about it. And I just remember being like, I don't know any better. And you were just like, this stupid beach ball pillow. And like,
It was a little bit of that anger and resentment with it. I mean, let's be real. It's better than the Anaheim motel. That's for sure.
Oh God. Good Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it was, you know what? And I'll even say this, the rooms, if I remember it all correctly, the rooms in Paradise Pier are actually, they're nice sized. I think they're comparable to even the size of the Disneyland hotel rooms in the Adventureland Tower. That's where they're a little bit bigger because that's that's an older tower. But Disneyland Hotel, the last time Rhino and I stayed in those rooms, they were looking rough, very rough. Mm-hmm. So I like to make jokes about Paradise Pier, but honestly, I'd stay there. I'd stay anywhere. I would.
I'd stay at any of the Disney resorts. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, any of the Disney resorts, a lot of the off-property resorts, never the Anaheim motel.
Didn't the Anaheim hotel though give you a complimentary box of Jimmy Dean? Is that what happened?
That was in Fiasco and our refrigerator in the freezer section when we showed up on check-in day. Opened up the fridge and there was a box of Jimmy Dean's breakfast sandwiches in there.
That was nice of them.
Yeah, it really was. I forget what they gave us, like $10.
They gave us a gift card that we couldn't use. Yeah, then we went to use and we couldn't use it. It was a journey.
There's a pizza press in the lobby. But Jennifer, any insight on Disneyland? What do you have for us?
I mean, I'm looking forward to getting back there too. We were planning on a trip that pandemic year to go out to Disneyland. So it's just nice to see the resort is opening back up and now some more of the restaurants. So again, getting back to normalcy is what we all need. So it's really nice to see Disneyland being able to open, being able to get the restaurants going. It's all good stuff.
Yeah. Did you say you booked Disneyland too? I don't remember.
I do so. I'm not as familiar with Disneyland. I like to stick with Disney World. So I do kind of hand those off to other people that are more experienced in Disneyland. So I want to get out there and get more experienced in it. So, I just do Disney World, the cruise line, and Universal.
Good. That's admirable. Flat out saying that you don't want to sell it because you don't know enough about it. So a lot of people would just be like, no. Yeah. No, I'm going to sell it anyways. And you can have the worst vacation ever, courtesy of Dreams Unlimited Travel.
No.
Okay. I think that's it for our Disneyland talk, unless anything else to throw in there?
I'm dreaming of Steakhouse 55 and Bengal Barbecue.
Did you call it Bangle? Like it's in the rock band? Bengal?
Is that not how... Yeah, that's not how I'm supposed to say it. I say words wrong all the time, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I just didn't know if they had a new Bengals themed restaurant
so
somewhere in
how is it
Disneyland.
said?
They serve
It's
bugles
those
there.
Northeast accents. They get you every time.
They really do. They really do.
Yeah,
I just want to say, I'm going to say thank you to Marla in California who sent me a mint julep cup. She went, and she had a
Aw.
great time and everything like that. And that was really nice of her. So thank you very much, Marla. If you watch this, she says she follows on social media more. So I don't think she's even in the chat or will ever hear this, but
maybe not. So it's like the equivalent of saying like, "Oh, my family went on vacation, and all I got was this lousy cup."
yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, I'm gonna move us into the housekeeping portion of this show. And I don't know if anyone does have housekeeping. I personally don't think I do, but I might change my mind with that. So the floor is now open for housekeeping. Fiasco?
Yeah, so I plugged it the last time I was on the Tuesday show, but over on DVC Fan, we're on a quest to see every DVC room that there is to see. And this week actually is the first time that that's going to take me outside of Walt Disney World property, and I'm heading to Vero Beach in a few days. So yeah, all to see all sorts of Walt Disney World DVC rooms, head over to DVC Fan, but also now to see DVC rooms that aren't even on Walt Disney World property. That's coming soon too, so be sure to check it out.
So you're gonna like it. Vero Beach, a lot of fun right at the resort. A beautiful resort. A very interesting beach depending on the time of years. The 2 times I've been there was massive erosion, and so like you would walk out onto the sand and then you would like drop down 3 feet to go into the water. But beautiful property, and yeah, I think you'll have a nice relaxing time there. That'd be good.
Yeah, I'm psyched.
Yes. Good stuff. Rhino, any housekeeping for you?
No, I'll just remind people about our Patreon site, which is patreon.com/disunplugged. And that is an area where, for donations of different varying levels and different varying times, you can unlock access to some behind the scenes photos, shows, videos. I know Pete just did a live stream just last week, I believe, and all sorts of you can get early access to some vlogs whenever we have that sort of stuff. We don't always have that though, which is but a lot of times we'll be able to put it out a couple days early or something like that. But that helps the running of the show, as well as booking a vacation through Dreams Unlimited Travel, of course. So again, that is patreon.com/disunplugged.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Jennifer, anything you want to mention?
Yeah, like I said last week, I was in the park, so I'm not sure if you guys talked about the wave closing on the 15th of July for renovations. So that's just something I've been pointing out to a lot of my clients just to watch, because I know how much we pump up that restaurant. So I think they're closing on the 15th of July and then reopening for the 50th. So that's exciting.
Yes, now I'm embarrassed. I told chat before the show started that we weren't bringing it up because I did not feel like it was worth talking about. So now I just ate my words the same way you won't be able to eat a meal at the Wave after the 15th there. So, thank you very much, Jennifer. Why don't you plug your email address one more time in case people want to book a trip with you?
It's Jennifer L at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com.
There we go. And speaking of dining, I guess I'll give a chance to give a shout out to the Disney Dining channel that we have on YouTube, as well as the audio show. And of course, that's found at youtube.com/Disney Dining. And, if you just go to the homepage of the Dis Unplugged on YouTube, I have a link to every single channel that we have, from Moving to Orlando, DVC Fan, all of them. I can't even name how many we decided to branch off on its own.
It's like 8.
It's an insane number that we probably should have never done it, but you know what? We're too deep in now, so now we have to double down and keep running with it. But yeah, Disney Dining, that one's near and dear to my heart, because a lot of the terrible food that I'm eating will surely turn into cholesterol that will plague me for ages and ages. And I love it though, and check out the audio version if you haven't heard it. I basically take clips of all of the dining reviews that we post on YouTube, clean them up to make it not seem like we just made it for YouTube and then release it as an audio show with my dry, deadpan sense of humor. And one more reminder, too, for UOFan. YouTube.com/UOFan. That's where all the Universal content is now. You're not going to find it on WDW Info. You're not going to find it on this channel. Go to UOFan. And for the audio listeners, it's still Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. We still haven't changed the name, and I don't think we will. I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see on that. But okay, we're going to move into our final portion of the show, the one that I was saving it for. It's probably going to be me talking a lot, and I already apologize in advance for that. But a big opening happened this past weekend, something that people have been anxious and excited for. We finally have the return of Festival of the Lion King with a celebration of Festival of the Lion King. It did open this weekend into soft openings, but it will officially open up on May 15th, so everyone can enjoy it. And why is it a celebration of Festival of the Lion King versus versus just being Festival of the Lion King? Well, it's because, of course, it is a modified version of the show. It is not the same show that you've known and loved forever, but it's pretty close. And I'm going to start showing some of the scenes of it for people watching, and for people listening, you can go and watch our full show of it on youtube.com/WDWinfo. But the show itself, I mean, it is still the music that you know and love. So if you've seen the show once before, none of it is really, it's none of this is spoilers for you. But if you haven't seen the show before, basically you have the four main performers that come out and sing your favorite songs from The Lion King. But throughout the show, there was always interesting performers that would come and kind of show off their talents, like the Tumble Monkeys that would do crazy acrobatics, and a fire dancer, and aerialists. Well, with the redone show of A Celebration of Festival of the Lion King, Tumble Monkeys, they're out. They're just gone right now. Obviously, they can't perform safely. Fire dancing, he's there dancing away.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Rhino's eyes perk up as soon as I'm not even going to beat around the bush. It's not even a joke. He saw the shirtless man with fire and said, "That's on fire." The aerialists, well, they're grounded. They're just doing their little dancing thing on the ground, and that's kind of the major changes with it, and what's different versus the old show before. Again, the performers are out there singing their hearts out, just like they always did before. It did move me. I will say that. I don't easily get moved by things, but as soon as I started hearing them singing, I was taken aback by it. It was about as much of an emotional experience as I can get. And I mean, for the most part, at a Disney park, that is. But I was so happy to see it come back. But I say that with a big caveat thrown in there as well, that I struggled so hard to try to see the show when I went to see it yesterday. The show times were 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 5, 6, 7. And I showed up for the 1:30 show, the 2:30 show at 1:30, and I thought, I'll be fine. I'm going to get into this no problem. And no, that was not the case. They just flat out said, no, you should come back at 4 o'clock and we will try to get you into the 5 o'clock show, but it could already be seating for the 6 o'clock show. And
was it a virtual queue, or do you have to stand in line the whole time?
You have to stand in line. So to actually see the show, I got to EPCOT at 4:30, or not EPCOT, wow, Animal Kingdom. I got there just before 4:30, and I think I finally made the line by about, I really, really cruised as fast as I could back there, and I got to the theater about maybe 5 or 6 minutes later, and I was in line for the 6 o'clock show. At that point, there was no chance of me making it into 5 o'clock at 30 minutes out to the 5 o'clock show, but I waited 90 minutes for the 6 o'clock show. I did make it in very, very easily. That being said, it was not a question of was I going to get in. By the time I got sat down for it, they had only filled one of the long sets of bleachers, and then partially mine and partially the other short one across the other side. They hadn't even begun on the other long side. But yeah, I would keep that in mind. If you plan on going to see a festival, a celebration, a festival of the Lion King in the near future, plan on being in line at least 90 minutes before showtime for right now, because it is very, very low capacity inside the theater. It was all very spaced out like the other shows, and rows were skipped, and it made it so not a lot of people could get in there. It was a very enjoyable experience viewing it without a lot of people in there, but it's a tough ticket right now. And it's so exciting to see that many performers in one space getting to do their thing again after such a long time. So I would recommend getting out to Animal Kingdom and experiencing it as soon as you can. Jennifer, you just missed it.
What time did they let you into the theater? So for that last show, were you being let in 15 minutes before 6 and there was only 3 rows of people?
It was about, I want to say they started the preload right. I think I took a photo on my phone so I can look at the timestamp for that. I was inside the theater at 5:43, so I wasn't the first group let in. There was one before that. So I would say they started the preload in the theater about 5 minutes before that. So roughly 20 minutes before the show. And then, yeah, you get to sit inside and cool down for a little bit before the show actually begins.
That's going to be tough waiting an hour and a half for that show.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so glad that it's back, because the shows and the fireworks and the parades are my favorite things. But so I'm excited that it's coming back, but that's going to be tough for people to wait an hour and a half or get to a show an hour and a half beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like the perfect thing to have a virtual queue for.
It does. I think it would benefit by it, but I think those reservation times would go very, very quickly because people are that excited for it. Not everyone was willing to wait in line. There was people behind me that they thought they were going to be able to get into the 5 o'clock show, getting in line at 4:30-ish. And then when it got to like 5:10, they're like, I don't think we're getting into the 5 o'clock show. And so then they left. And I was like, oh, you could have had the 6. You were getting so close. You just needed a little bit longer and you would have made it into the next show after. But I think a lot of people are going to avoid it right now because of the lines. But it's tough. And, I think it won't take very long for Disney to maybe start easing up on how many, the spacing guidelines in terms of inside theaters, and that will make it easier to see. But I think that's honestly part of what's also affecting Finding Nemo the musical coming back too, because it's a big theater, but it's not, it's not massive in the largest venue ever. So I think with Finding Nemo, it's the performers having to find ways for the performers to distance themselves and be safe, as well as then the theater size. I think that's definitely part of the factors keeping Finding Nemo away from coming back. But it's nice. It's nice to see Festival of the Lion King again. I would have waited the 90 minutes again, and I probably will wait it again. And you can call me crazy for it, and you're not wrong. So that's all I have to say about Festival of Lion King. If no one else has any questions to throw at me with it. But does anyone else have any last things to say before we wrap up here?
Did they do the warthog sections?
Oh.
Good question, Rhino. Great question. No, they did not. We did not start off with the noises. No one came out and told us what sections we were in and what noises
Sounds like
to
the
make
show's
with
improving.
it. Slightly, yes. And, none of instead of, if I remember from the old show, which I feel like it's been forever since I've seen it, but I felt like some of the groups were supposed to sing the one part of the song and other groups sang others. In this now, it's 2 of the sections will clap along to the song and the other 2 sections will do the concert arm wave, which I'm glad there was no animal noises, but I don't like doing the wave your arms in the air thing. That's never been my vibe. I don't like it. I would clap, but you can't control which section you're in, and you don't want to be the weirdo clapping in the wrong section, right?
Just go for it.
I
Okay.
guess.
Wow.
Sure.
That felt like 10 seconds between any response there. It's the most uncomfortable I've been as of lately.
I mean,
Wow.
at least you're not getting up and doing the wave. That would be a different story.
No, let's not even get started on that. Let's not even get started on that. Was there any other
It wouldn't be
questions?
Phantasmic without the waves. You got to do the waves.
That's why I don't
So
like
do you
seeing.
not?
Yeah, that's why I don't do our Phantasmic in Walt Disney World. I don't want the pre-show wave. I don't need.
That's how
any
they
of that.
trick you to slide all the way down.
It's also like, oh,
But
it's,
we did that at Lights Motors Action.
you know, the smartest thing to do in the world after people have been walking around theme parks all day, they're sweating. A lot of them probably forgot their deodorant, haven't refreshed. Let's have everyone lift your arms in the air and start waving them around. Let's really let that scent waft out. Why not? That's just what I want to smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions? Any more questions? No final
I think
questions?
that does it.
Okay. Well, Jennifer just said it best. I can't say it any better. Thank you so much to the panel this week. Rhino, Fiasco, Jennifer, for joining me on this week's show. Thank you, everyone out there, for listening and watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of this, whether it was entertainment, information, whatnot. I hope it made your day or your week just a little bit brighter. But ultimately, that's going to do it for this week's show. I do hope everyone out there has a really great week. We'll see you next time with another edition of the Diz Unplugged. Hey, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.